Come here, Whoosh. Hey, come here. Sit down. All right, good morning, everyone. Michael Venezia, TradeGate Hub, May 21st, a little at 11:01. We're getting better, Eastern time. Pardon me. Okay. A lot is going on. Let's get right to it. Those of you familiar with the process, once again, I'm not going to apologize for going through the plan, the everyday routine. It's part of your responsibility. You know, I was thinking before about this, how in order for the chat members to really gain the most out of TradeGate Hub is to be on consistently. This is not a platform where you can just sign on once or twice a week and trying to get a couple of picks. Yeah, of course I could pick. I have some long-term picks, but you know what? I'm not alone in them. They're usually the best of breed and stocks that I could probably point out and most people would recognize, but not really maybe pull the trigger on. But you know, it's your responsibility to learn and to be in these stocks and to go through this process. Good morning. So let's go to today, what we do every morning. We start off with, we had a lot of participation this morning, which I'm happy with. Thank you, everyone. So let's start from here. Okay. Good morning. I want everybody to always watch this video from Mike Santoli. It's basically telling you, it's a recap of what the market did on a macro level. It's just to let you know, get a feel how things opened and how things closed. He's one of the few people that can articulate in such a short period of time to really pinpoint about the market action, the market activity, literally 5 minutes after the bell. Very good at what he does. I do it myself. This is my routine. So I listen to Mike Santoli and we go back, and this morning, the sentiment indicator, first of all, we started the week off very, very negative, which was, I don't want to say I'm concerned about, but my trading style changed literally from Monday till Friday. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Monday we were down here. Let me go to a chart, for example. This is today. This is my universe today, by the way, if you want to take a screenshot of what's going on. That's what I generally watch. Microsoft today. Let's go back to Monday. Microsoft was breaking the 50-day, the 8-day, the 21 days. You can see on the bottom here, these are the major moving averages I follow. The blue is 50-day, the 8-day is in a little short-term indicator in the red. The 21-day is in white, and the big daddy, the 200-day, always in blue. So Microsoft started the week in bad position. Matter of fact, even the Qs were looking like they were going to break support, and everybody was saying how they were going to test the 200-day. So when the Qs on started off on Tuesday night at 316, we had a huge move up to the point where actually we called the NASDAQ long for the past couple of days. And that was edified on the fact that on our sector sentiment, which was today, right here, even after the rally on the bottom over the right here from 316 to 328, the semis and technology are still oversold. And that's even, well, today they have a little bit of a pullback. The majority of the board is green, but certainly they're resting, if you will. And it looks like from the indicators, they're still a little bit in the oversold territory. So I'm not looking to short any technology, and it's been a hell of a rally. And the very stock, one of the barometers, the very stock Microsoft, they said that was, at least for a short term, technically broken, looks like it's holding. Let's go to the other ones. Let's go to Apple. I mean, it's holding the 200-day. I'm telling you, there's a little bit of a fine line. I'm not going to lie to you, but there are stocks that are making big moves, like this Upstart, which I've been pointing out. This is the hottest stock on the board, UPST. High stock on the board, trading good volume. The second one is the new IPO Roblox, RBLX. This is the now stock, the gaming stock. If I had $1 for every time Jim Cramer touted it, we'd all retire. Nice looking range here, if you will. And that's how you trade it. I'm not long the stock, by the way. I'm a spectator, but it's a new issue. I should be long it, I'm not. Okay, so Microsoft is holding. Let's go back to the routine, if you will. So after we watched the Mike Santoli video, we started the day with tactical sentiment, still not even overbought, which I even pointed out today right here that I thought it would be higher, more overbought, but not. I thought we would be in a little bit of a red, which is why we're still up again today. So the market seems to be holding very, very nicely. Now here we go with the sector sentiment, financials, and then see as even if the market has rallied like it has. Let's go to the SPX. This is a daily rally of the SPX from 4082 to 4177, or I'll even say this, the SPYs. From 405 to 417. And believe me, I mean, it's not the only trade. It's not the only tool I use. I have to fix this going up and down. It's not the only tool I use, but certainly all these sector sentiments after we rallied that much is sitting fins in the middle. As I said, semis, technology oversold, utilities oversold, retail oversold, REITs, oil producers. I understand healthcare in the middle of the range. We're going to watch Labu. Housing, the housing number came out. Looked to buy the best of breeds, Lennar, DHI. So with the market even making a nice run by that, the majority of sectors, X energy and oil producers and the miners, gold still hanging strong, but they're buying a pullback. I digress. So the market's looking bullish here. I'm not going to lie, and especially with let's look at the VIX. If the VIX died down, everybody got complacent, and that's another thing that I'll point to about complacency and bullishness is Jesus. Well, as the closer I get, the less I have to do this. That's the positive side. So I'm just going to go one by one. Okay. Right here. NAAM sentiment even with the rally, people did not catch the rally, which is why it's on low volume, and people still do not believe it, which means they're under position. Yesterday's top auction flow. This was yesterday. Let's write down U. That was yesterday's flow. Let's write down run. That was yesterday's major flow. What are we going to do? Let's write down delta. That was yesterday's major flow. Let's write down them all. I don't care. Facebook. I'm just taking the thicker ones, if you will. Today's focus, there we had the economic numbers. Yesterday's mover with range. Okay. When I first started when I first started this morning, I talked to you something about responsibility. The number one on the list, UONE. Okay. Stock it was up 60%, had a 54% range, and traded 82 million shares. And I believe traded at the high. I'm writing it down. This is going to be the routine again. I'm going to talk about the volume and range stocks. Then I'm going to write them down and go to the charts. Other ones, UONE, by the way, is the big one. Laser, I'm in it. I posted it. Let's write that down, why I'm in it. EMPH. Nothing really else that I follow through or traded. On the down volume, SPCE, well, that was actually positive, but it finished on the low. But Spice, which actually came in long some options, luckily, had 93 million shares. No, the range wasn't really that good, actually. Let's punch up Spice. Let's go through that one as well. But on the downside, obviously Ryan and Mara. Ride has been a hot stock. Write that down. And why it's been hot and what we're going to do with it going on. Fisker, Rig, Gap stores. Retail was the story yesterday. L Brands, American Eagle, Gap stores. It was because of Kohl's. I have to write that down. We have a lot of charts to go through, so I'll hurry up. So there every morning I post the stocks with range. No, UONE, you had to be in it. Kathy Wood trades. Those used to be market moving. I could blow that up, but you get it. Those used to be market moving. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they fade her. As I said yesterday, it's almost like the anti-GME. If she's long it, they short it. This morning's movers. Yalla, number one. That was a good trader. UONE by no mistake up there. AT&T, Spice had volume. What else had earnings? Well, DECK had earnings. BKE, we shorted. I posted that nice short. It was a thin one. You had to be quick. Okay. Ion laser for active traders and you only. For those that day trade and don't care about what a PMI number is or what oil is doing, if you just want to treat this as a business, which is fine, and just trade price action and volume, and it doesn't matter if they make widgets or Nerf footballs, you had to be in either lazy or you only. And there's a reason. I also posted the site here, bar chart, free site. Opposed to, hold on a second, let me share my screen. This is my proprietary indicator that I have up at the moment that I'm watching on the left. So as you could see, extreme volume, new highs with relative volume. These are some of my lists, if you will. Big gappers with range. All these red bars meaning near the high, red bars and low. Like this, for example, relative volume. JZXN, 18 million shares traded near the high. I'm interested in it. Yalla, it's got to have a range. What else is near the high? John Deere at earnings. Foot Locker, I'm shorted, not going to lie. We'll show you. BLDP had numbers and news, which is why that's keeping up the whole solar sector, which is why Run had those option calls yesterday. So as you can see here, these are several of my list. Insane volume, or I can go back to explosive winners. You know, when I gain with these queries that I have, and with this news that I show everyone, and through my Twitter feed that I told you is all about quality, not quantity. I follow 35 people, and I could follow, trust me, a lot more. But I want to follow the ones that I can trust. There you go, John Deere, high of the day. Pardon me. You bullish wise guy action. That's no surprise. And why is that no surprise? You as bullish wise guy action. Because for the second day in a row, and I posted this hours ago, right here, ton of you calls going off. One of Goldman Sachs' best plays. Does need time though. You had to be in it. And by the way, those U calls, if you go back from yesterday, I posted the most active calls. They were active yesterday as well. So we're going to go to the charts again in a second. Just let me finish the routine. I'm starting to read again. Read it. It's a requirement. Okay. Let me go to something. Thanks for interesting. It is interesting, Adam. Thank you. NASDAQ.com, by the way, is something I wanted to point out, that if you want to have news, any type of earnings, that's a good site to go to give you general information. Okay. So open interest, US TNG calls going off hot. I like you. Don't get me wrong. Bitcoin support, resistance. You have to go through the news. Deere, I posted the earnings. Tim, having another good day right there, right over here. No wonder. The boss. Twice the boss. Nice day, Tim. NVIDIA 4-for-1 split. Watch how that closes. People might want to buy it into the split. You have to write that down, NVIDIA into the split. Buckle up, drive safely. You too. BKE. Okay. With VFC earnings and retail's been weak, I'm going to fade some BKE. That was a couple hours ago. So we're going to go over that chart. Mike Lombardo and I did the webcast on Wednesday. We both like Boeing. It's up here, by the way. Go through the stream. He talked about it for a while. It was actually Mike's idea. And I looked at it and I actually said, good call. And I liked it too. And then we also liked SPR with Boeing. That's SPR, Spirit, is Boeing's baby brother. Gapping up stocks, coin, higher too, another good call. An Ion DD, out an hour ago. Well, that was an hour ago. That was 10 o'clock. So we're going to look at DDD. You had to keep an eye on it. You had an option flow. Ton of you calls going off. And this is you. Well, I could get to the chart, but you opened at 97, 90.75 and only opened up what? A half and went to 93.75. There's $3 worth of commercial. Have a nice day. It's a good trade. And it's because I followed the smart money with options. I'm not trying to outsmart myself. Excuse me. I on DDD again, giddy up. You also look what that did. I also post what they're looking at Wall Street bets. They move markets. Why not? I tried some laser. I already said to write that down, but I'm going to write down the price at 21.48. Why'd I do it at that price? China reiterates call for crackdown on Bitcoin. That pulled back, and now we're going to go to the charts. Also, always go to the stock watch list that I tailored myself with the team, top gainers and losers. You might as the same as bar chart. We give it to there. It's actually based upon that to a degree. There you go. There's the winning gainers. UONE, no surprise. What about the gainers? We got to get gainers. Yalla. All right. I have to look at Yalla then maybe. Nothing else that's sexy. All right. So anyway, I go to this list to just get some more ideas if I don't have them already. And I should. Ooh, excuse me a second. Hope that wasn't a margin call. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right. So we're getting finished with the routine. And let's go to the stocks and the charts like we promised. Let me X out of that. Okay. All right. Let's get to some charts here. Okay. What did we want to look at? First of all, we wanted to look at UONE. Now, I maybe it shouldn't be taken the wrong way, but whenever you're in line to get compensated, there's a certain amount of responsibility that's entailed. Whether it's you're a CEO to give your employees the best opportunities to succeed, whether you're a quarterback that needs to throw touchdowns. I don't care if you're a janitor, if you have to sweep well. Everybody gets compensated for something and has to be responsible for their work. And this is something you have to be responsible for, and it's UONE. This is yesterday. Let's look at the long-term chart. Okay. So let's go to the left here. UONE. So it has it in it to follow through. It's not one of the one-day wonders that I talked about yesterday. So yesterday, how many would it do in volume? 25 million shares. It has one. Let's go back to the left. This day it did between 25 and 50 million. What I didn't like, especially yesterday, that it did 100 million. The reason why it popped nicely back here, it didn't do all the volume yet. So that's why it followed through the next day. But you had to be in it yesterday. The stock went from right here, whatever it is, 6 to 9 on by 10 o'clock, it had 150% of its volume. And this is a perfect example of a couple of things. Channel trading with volume and range, and putting in trailing stops instead of looking at the screen. This is something you have to put in a trailing stop for, and you go out. Because when something has 40 million shares in a nice trend, it wasn't that choppy. Excuse me. It wasn't that choppy. It was in a nice channel. And that's where you put trailing stops for, and then you maybe take some off. So that stock yesterday that traded 50 million all day long and had a nice channel was something you had from 650 to 10. Now today was the big, let's get rid of these. Today was the gimme. Okay. So the low today, which is breaking low right now, not a good sign. I don't want to be in this thing anymore. I wasn't in it anyway. So once it broke the open price, you had to be quick because it went from, what is this? 873 to 975, $1 uptick on 1 million shares. Not for me. Let's go to 2 days. So it did break high. It did break yesterday's high, which probably got a lot of people in. but you definitely want to put a stop limit for that. But once again, when it broke the close in yesterday's, let's look, in yesterday's high, which was 10. Where's 10? Right here. The first gap right here. That first halt, that would have been out of it. Trade's over, by the way. It might have a one, it's going to be like a BTX. You have to, by the way, you have to know the news on this. It didn't really matter because it had volume and range. But this UONE probably turns out to be like, well, it's not that dramatic, a BTX. But the bottom line is the stock's trade. I don't care what you do. The stock's traded 25 million shares and so far has a good range. So maybe you want to be in it anyway. But for me, the long, I moved on from it. Okay. What else did we have that we looked at? Okay, let's look at the option plays. We said run was a huge option. Run was a huge option play yesterday. We were long it. Run yesterday. The options were going off nicely. Stock went from 42 to 45. This was yesterday and today. Closed at the high. If you were sharp, you bought it near the low, put a bid in. It's still going higher from 44 here, 43.75 to 45.80. And the options are still going up. Let's look at you. What's you doing? You still going higher. I mean, we started the podcast at what time? 11? So this is where the podcast was at 11. I'm not going to look at my screen, 93 to 94. That's good. Like I told you, sometimes I do the index cards. It makes me actually a better trader. This is making me do well again. So I'm hoping that you're picking things up. You, huge in volume. What else is going up? Delta. I don't think Delta did anything off the, not Delta's in no man's land. American Airlines so far is leading. It looks like the best one so far. AAL. All right. I wanted to talk about Laser. This is a big trade. Laser yesterday had big news. Stock was petering around 2025 and had news and went from 2025, closed at 23.25. So 10, what is that? 10, okay, stock was up like 25%. On news, finished at the high. Now, what I don't like is when a stock has news. I like when it doesn't have news because I think it has a better chance of continuing the next day. And then if the news comes out, it maybe can push a little further because people hop on it before they disseminate the information. But Laser, you have to be in it. First of all, it did trade 8 million yesterday in a squeeze. And right now it is above the moving averages and did have good news. The reason why it moved is because it had good news. So now this is the 2-day chart of Laser. Now, when I said that I wanted to purchase Laser today, this is the 2-day chart. So when a stock goes from right here, from 2050 to 2350, and this is where I want the pullback from the. This is where the stock opened yesterday. This is where it bottomed today. I drew that line. I said I'm taking a stab at Laser at whatever it was, 2142. I did buy it, and it did pop to what? 22. Now what does Laser do? Let me remove all these lines. You know what? I'm going to see. I wanted to break here. See that little gap? And then I wanted to break over the 50-day. The 50-day is what? If you look when I put my chart here, the 50-day, that bottom number on the left, the blue one, 2282 in light blue. So I wanted to break 2282, which probably did it do yesterday? It couldn't hold it yesterday. Laser breaks up right in that gap too. Then I'm going to take more and I'll go through it. You know what? It's a trade susceptible to the news. The market's strong, which is why I think it has a little bit more. It could propel a little bit higher. The Laser certainly is something. That's why I bought it right there. That was the price, and that was the price that it stopped at right there. So I'll put a stop in. I'll watch it, and I'll let it go. Ride, another one of these EV plays. Okay. Ride had a similar. First of all, it's in a similar sector as Laser. They both make these automated cars, both in the EV automated sector. So Ride was heavily shorted stock, by the way, 709, and it made a move from 709 to almost, let's say 1209, a $5 move. This is why we trade price, volume, and price and range. And the stock had a 3-day move. 3 days up is usually something you want to take a little profit on. Pulled back to the moving averages, 922. And that was something I missed. But that's something definitely we want to keep an eye on right here. Ride. Same thing as laser. If it closes above that 50-day, that number 1071, the light blue one, it's right here. I'm going to want to be in it. I think it has something a little left. You want to know why? Because NIO is holding well. CCIV is making a little bit more. It doesn't look like it, but the stock's moved from 17 to 20. Fisker making a little bit of a move, a comeback. I'm not saying of the positions yet, of the long-term holds. I like them breaking with other moving averages, but certainly that's one I've been trading. All right. DDD. What did I say back here? I said giddy up for a reason. 2 hours ago. DDD. Okay. I think I like DDD around right here. Around 26.20. It's a Wall Street bet stock. It's above the moving average. It's coming down to a critical point here, but the stock went from 26.40 when I mentioned it to 27.80. Now, right now, it's near that level, and it just did a block of shares. It's interesting to me, the RSI is. I may enter it here. Interesting. DDD, we got our eye on it. So let's go back to the rest of the market. Market's selling off a little. NASDAQ's actually weak now. Crude oil breaking higher. Foot Locker. Laser. Laser's not holding now. That was a bad tick on the laser. See, and the market pulled back. So the Q's just broke again. All right, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on. First of all, it's quad witch. So there's a lot of option expiration today. So we have to be careful. So now what I'm gonna do right here is, for example, I'll close off with this. New share. Now I'm going to look at what's hanging in there. New daily lows, new year lows, Ali, SFIX, new year right here, new year low, new highs, PSO, extreme volume. Let me look at my top list. Stocks on the low, bottom left with volume. SI, that's when we've been long. ZI, QQQ breaking low right here. No volume. What's got volume on the downside, if any? VFC had earnings. That's the one why we shorted BKE. I shorted Buckle because of the VFC. So you know what? Let's look at the VIX is doing to finalize things. Now the VIX had a nice pop. You know what? People probably trying to hold on. Share my screen. Let me share my screen. I apologize. Share screen. Okay. So with that being said, let's go back to the finish on TradeGate Hub and just let's be familiar with what happens the rest of the afternoon. And we're going to see where the NASDAQ closes because that's been leading the way for a little bit. And just also my sector list, I'll have that on as well. So right now it's approaching 11:30, lunchtime. Some thin trading, people taking profits into a Friday. The tactical sentiment list is probably a little bit stretched, so keep updated, and I'll let you know about TGH. So have a plan and go forward, and if not, have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you.